失礼いたします。親族の皆様をお連れしました。
おお、よく来たね。道中問題はなかったかね。
兄さん、儲けてるんでしょ。そろそろ自家用ジェットを買いなさいよ。
今回の機内も後ろ宮家しかおらんかったからな。
エンジェちゃん、来られてよかったですね。体調が悪いから欠席するかもしれないと聞いて。
ご心配をおかけしました。今朝になったら急に元気になりまして。
お腹痛いのどっか行っちゃった。
Hell yeah, dude.
お腹をぐるぐる時計回りにさせるの。
Smart kid. Hell yeah.
お腹痛いのが治る魔法のおまじないなの。
こらマリア、少し静
Shut
か
up,
にしなさい。
おお、そっちはバトラ君かね。大きくなった。
6年ぶりですね。本当に立派になりました。
いや、おかげさまで背ばっか伸びまして。
Whoa, Battler, easy there, Tiger.
相変わらずみてえだけどな。
むしろ相変わらずバトラ君でいてくれて僕は安心したけどね。
Battler may be bigger, but he's still a Battler.
こいつは飛行機でも船でも落ちるのなんのと相変わらず賑やかで。
I can't even blame him. I don't fuck with that shit
ア
either.
スムさんの血でしょ。
Yeah, no, yeah. Battler's always had a problem. Oh, that must be his mother's fault, right? Okay, Kyrie, like, easy.
多分あれだぜ。こいつが小さい頃遊園地で激しめなの。
身長制限で乗れないんじゃ。
いやいや、ティーカップとか足こぎボート、そういうのをちょいと激しめに付き合わせたのがまずかったみたいだ。
Bro, those teacup rides when you go ham on them, oh, it's an experience. I can't even say good or bad, but that's an experience.
ルドルフ兄さんは昔からそういうのやりすぎる。
Yeah, honestly, now thinking back at it, like, those teacup rides, mad intense once Dad hopped in. Yeah, no, for real. Once your dad gets a hold of the teacup ride, it's game over. You're flying out that motherfucker.
それはそれかわいそうに。
バトラ君には。
でも安心したわ。乗り物嫌いでこそバトラ君って感じだもんね。
お兄ちゃんは乗り物が嫌いなんじゃない。落ちるから嫌いなの。落ちる落ちる。
マリア、お姉ちゃんでしょ。お手本を見せなさい。
失礼します。お茶の配膳に参りました。
A pleasant aroma followed Shannon as she came into the room, pushing a serving cart. Even Angie and Maria, who had been running around in circles, sat down obediently when they heard that drinks were here.
ところで親父はどうしてんだ。
もうじき降りてくるだろう。ネクタイ一本選ぶのに朝から大騒ぎ。
相変わらず当主として威厳ある服装がどう。
お父さんって昔からネクタイにはやたらうるさいわよね。
こだわりがあられるのでしょう。おしゃれなのは良いことです。
その割に結局いつも同じネクタイで現れるわね。
The family members burst out laughing. The sweet scent of Goda's specially made pumpkin tea spread throughout the parlor, and the calm atmosphere grew more cheery and excited.
ママ見て、ママ見て。パンプキンのクッキーだよ。ハロウィンだ。
あら、本当ね。この甘い匂いはかぼちゃなのかしら。
はい、今日のお紅茶は珍しい、とっても美味しいですから、最初はぜひストレートで召し。
姉さん、そっち気をつけて。
へえ、かぼちゃの紅茶なんてあるんだ。ゴーダさんはよくこんなのを見つけてくるよな。
美味しいね。なかなかいいよ。かぼちゃの自然な甘みが感じられるね。
かぼちゃを紅茶。でもよ、かぼちゃと言ったら天ぷらが一番だよな。
おお、かぼちゃじゃないの。パンプキンなの。パンプキンはかぼちゃじゃないの。パンプキンなの。
Maria seemed to think the English word was more fitting for Halloween, but it looked like Angie thought kabocha and pumpkins were entirely different things. Everyone laughed, but Angie, not knowing why she was being laughed at, cocked her head to one side discontentedly. Just when it looked like she was about to get in a bad mood and start grumbling, Maria started teaching her a cookie game, and Angie immediately became engrossed with that distraction. Then the sound of approaching footsteps drifted in from the hallway. When the relatives realized whose footsteps those must be, they straightened up. Those quick footsteps stopped for a moment just outside the parlor door, as though someone was taking a deep breath and setting up a dramatic pause. Then the door exploded open as Kinzo yelled out loud, with Genji and Nanjo standing behind him.
Happy Halloween!
What the fuck?
And trick or treat!
What the fuck is happening?
Trick or treat!
I think I'm hallucinating. The cousins shouted it back. The adults returned the greeting too, looking embarrassed and refusing to meet his gaze. Angie alone stood there with her mouth open, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Bruh, I feel you, Angie. I don't like this.
お菓子はくれなきゃいたずらしてしまうぞである。
ほらマリア。
おじいさま、今年はすごいの。驚いて驚いて。
Maria picked up a present that had been hidden behind a sofa. Come to think of it, all the relatives were now holding similar packages. This is weird.
ほら、エンジェもこれをおじい様に渡して。
Kitty handed Angie a neatly wrapped present.
おお、マリア！いつもありがとう。おじいちゃんは嬉しいぞ。
I don't like this. I don't like this. This feels weird. As Kinzo took Maria's present, a smile broke out across his face, and he rubbed his cheek up against it.
親方様、威厳をお忘れでございます。
Master, your dignity.
そうだよ。嬉しいぞ。我が孫マリ。お菓子をくれたので、今年はいたずらは勘弁してやる。
今度はおじい様のお菓子をくれなきゃいたずらしちゃう。
心得ておるぞ。源氏、こちらを。
Genji fished through something that looked like Santa Claus's sack and pulled out a present addressed to Maria, handing it over to Kinzo.
ああ、おじいちゃんからのプレゼントであるぞ。これはの、マリアにあげるのが惜しい。親方様、威厳。これは後ろ宮家。これはそのかわいい。後ろ宮家の監督にふさわしい。
This is supposed to be like a nice, wholesome moment. It's making me so uncomfortable. I don't like this. This feels so weird.
受け取るがよい。
ありがとう、おじ大好き。チュチュチュ。
おお、マリア。チッチャチッチャチャ。
What the fuck? I don't like this. This is so weird. By this point, even Genji had to give up on Kinzo's dignity. Still, the dignity of the family head had lasted a full 10 seconds longer than usual this year.
おじい様、これは僕からです。
ハッピーハロウィン。気に入ってくれるといいんだけど。
おお、ジョージにジェシカ。今年もありがとう。私は嬉しいぞ。
With tears streaming down his face, Kinzo hugged George and Jessica.
そしてバトラか。
Yeah, and Battler too. Oh.
よく戻ってきたな、後ろ宮家に。
Yeah, that's great.
寂しかったぞ、この6年間。
いや、まあそのハッピーハロウィン気に入ってくれるかわからねえけど。
良いのだ。言いたいこともあろう、聞きたいこともあろう。だが今はそれはなし。じいさん、よく後ろ宮家に戻ってきてくれ。私は嬉しいぞ。
Slowly, Kinzo moved forward and hugged Battler. Battler drew back at first, but then he understood Kinzo's feelings and hugged him back. What the fuck? Angie watched the scene play out, shocked. Yeah, I feel that. Was Ushiromiya Kinzo always this kind of person? Definitely not.
エンジェ、次はお前の番だぞ。
ほら、それをおじい様に渡して。
あ、
Angie didn't have a clue what was going on. Nope. She took the present her mother had given her and walked forward timidly. Kinzo's face, which looked so cheery a second ago, suddenly became stern as soon as Angie stepped forward. No, it didn't become stern. The expression was the one always worn by the Kinzo inside Angie's mind. This was Ushiromiya Kinzo. He was fickle, short-tempered, and always wore a stern expression on his face. This was the most terrifying person in the Ushiromiya family. It felt as though the world went suddenly quiet, and it only did it when I stepped forward. Why? Why only for me? But isn't this how it should be? Isn't this the Ushiromiya Kinzo I expect? The Ushiromiya Kinzo I understand? I was like a puppet carrying a tea tray. I walked forward, bewildered, with the present held out in front of me, and stopped in front of Kinzo. Not letting his expression change in the slightest, Kinzo slowly reached out and touched the present. In an instant, Angie was caught in a firm embrace, present and all. Kinzo's white beard rubbed against her cheek.
I don't
like this.
私はこんなにも可愛らしい孫たちを嬉しくて涙が止まらぬ
親方様、ついでに威厳もお
That
忘れなく
and your dignity.
源氏すまぬ
Uh-huh. As the old man blew his nose, he didn't look like he could possibly be anyone other than a kindly grandpa, overcome with tears at his grandchildren's gifts.
ありがとう縁聞けば体調が悪いのに無理をおじいちゃんはさあお前にはこれだ
He pressed a large gift box to Angie's chest. She finally realized that all of Kinzo's presents were wrapped differently and in boxes of different sizes.
エンジには何だろうな。毎年じい様が誰に何を送るか。これだけの大人数をよくやるもんだよな。
毎年自分で。
He does what every year? He picks what himself? This bizarre ceremony happens every year. The cousins were all happily chattering about what their Halloween presents would be this year. Maria came up to Angie and suggested that they compare the weights of their presents, but for some reason Angie just stared blankly. After that, the adults also handed their presents to Kinzo one by one, receiving a gift in return, along with considerate words about their health and questions about how they've been doing recently. Then, after watching to see that all exchanges had been completed, Goda appeared and announced that lunch was ready.
そうかさあ一同諸君ゴーダ自慢のランチに舌鼓を打とうではないかさあさあ食堂へ移動しよう
どうぞ皆様ご案内いたします。
プレゼントは私どもでゲストハウスのお部屋へお運び。
どうぞ置いたままでお食事に向かわれてください。
The relatives stood up, leaving their presents where they lay on tables and sofas, and followed Kinzo out of the parlor. Only Angie remained standing there, stunned, as she clutched the present Kinzo had given her. Goda's lunches had never betrayed expectations before. When Hideyoshi said that these meals were the only reason anyone ever came to these family conferences, everyone laughed and nodded. The delicious food caused conversations to erupt all over the room. You've gotten so big. How have you been lately? Pretty good. It was a fun meal with everyone asking each other about the latest and laughing together. The Ishinomiya family sat at meals in a specific ranked seating order, so the adult siblings, the cousins, and the spouses all sat in groups. So conversations sprung up naturally. Angie had withdrawn slightly from the cousins' chat and was looking around the dining hall. What are Kinzo and the adult siblings doing? Their conversations seemed to be peaceful and fun. Most of the time the siblings were mothers or fathers of their own households. However, when they gathered together by themselves in front of Kinzo, that burden was lifted from their shoulders, and they became young and bright as though they'd gone back to being kids again. Rudolph, who was usually an easygoing father who nonetheless had a sense of dignity, became so bright and cheery in this group that it almost looked like there was another battler. Even Kinzo looked peaceful and relaxed. He didn't say a word about money or the inheritance. In fact, he didn't even insult his children or call them incompetent. He just looked like a happy old man, genuinely pleased to have his whole family together for the only time this year. The group of spouses was just as harmonious. The mothers kept bringing up problems with education and household matters, as well as family health issues. Hideyoshi and Nanjo happily joined in on their conversation. What about the cousins? There was no way such an enjoyable meal with such a fun group of friends could fail to be raucous. Maria was in her element, showing off her knowledge of Halloween trivia. George and Jessica would nod in understanding, Bowler would say something stupid, and Maria would laugh at him. Hell yeah. If I wanted, I could easily join in on that conversation. If the dessert caught my attention, I could easily slip out of the conversation too. It was happiness, both fun and natural. Felt like waking up from a daydream to be greeted by the rays of the springtime sun.
天気予報によると今夜あたり
台風らしいからな。こりゃ今年も一泊じゃ済まなさそうだぜ。
私は一個可愛い孫の顔が何日でも見られるなら私は毎日
よしてよ、仕事があるんだから。
お父様が島を出ればいいんじゃ。そうすればもっと好きな時に孫の顔を見られるでしょうに。
風情はあるが離島の暮らしはそろそろ答えるんじゃありません。
都会はうるさい。私の家族だけしかいない静か。私はここ。
でも六軒島じゃいざと。
同感よ。もうお父様も年なんだからせめて新島に引っ越すべきだ。
私はもう家族だけに囲まれて、そして私それを実現できるこの島。
お父さん。
諸君、これでゴーダの孫たちよ。明日からはずっと晴れているのは今しかな。バラをめでて、それから浜辺を散歩してはどうか。
そうですね。じゃあみんなそうさせてもらおうか。
バラをめでて浜辺を散歩する。貝殻拾いしてガラス拾いもする。
ガラス拾い？なんだそりゃ、危ないな。
ガラスのかけらが波に現れて丸くなって綺麗な石になって流れ着いてるんだよ。忘れたかよバトラ。昔一緒に拾ったろ。
ああ、あれガラスのかけらだった。俺はてっきりそういう綺麗な石なんだと思い込んでたぜ。
エンジはガラスの石見たことある？ない。じゃあ行こう。マリアが教えてあげるよ。行こう行こう。でも早い者勝ちだよ。マリアが全部拾っちゃ
う。なら私も負けないぜ。誰が一番綺麗で大きなガラス石を拾えるか競争しよ
う。やれやれ、ここは一つ童心に戻るとするかな。負けねえぞ。
じゃあ僕たちは浜辺へ行ってきます。
いとこ同士のんびりしてくるがよい。
The cousins rose from their seats and noisily left the dining hall. Maria grabbed Angie's hand and dragged her along. However, Angie's expression was vague and absent-minded, the opposite of Maria's full smile. This shit's fucking weird, dude. You know something's gonna go wrong. You know it. Like, if Burncastle was involved, you know shit's gonna go wrong. And we know from the end of the Tea Party that Burncastle's involved. The cousins walked along the beach, playing in all kinds of ways. They searched for bits of glass, polished by the waves to become small and gem-like. They caught up on news of each other's lives and joked around. They wrote words in the sand. They chased the receding waves and ran away from the coming ones. The cousins enjoyed the time they had to themselves.
待て待てマリア、今度は許さねえぞ。
転ぶと怪我をするよ。二人とも気をつけて。
風が強くなってきたかな。そろそろ引き上げた方がいいかもしれねえぜ。
そうだね。空も曇ってきた気がするよ。バトラ君、マリアちゃん、そろそろおしまいにして一度ゲストハウスに戻ろうか。
やだ、もっと遊ぶ。
こらこら、じゃあこれでおしまいだ。ほら 俺のガラス石やるよ。
ありがとうバトラー。これで一番数が多い。
エンジェ大丈夫か？
どうした？少し元気ないぞ。
疲れたんだよ。さあみんなで戻ろう。
Angie's expression probably did look tired. However, Battler alone thought he saw something else in it.
なんかあったのか？話してごらん。
なんでもない。
She said that. Something in her expression showed that she was unsatisfied for some reason. Since Angie didn't want to say what it was, and Battler couldn't think of anything, he was unable to guess anymore. So he squeezed her small hand, silently letting her know that she could tell him whenever she was ready. Even though it had seemed like such a bright sunny day a second ago, the sky turned gray and the wind started to feel more annoying than pleasant. If they waited around, they would probably see scattered raindrops as well soon.
これであとはずーっとなんだかげんなりするぜ。
でも短い時間だったけど童心にも。
このガラス石早くマリアが優勝したってママに教えるの。
俺が見つけたやつを譲ったんだけどな。
マリアがもらったからマリアのものなの。だからマリアが優勝。
Angie walked distractedly, pulled along by her brother. George and the others thought that she had probably woken up too early and was tired, so they didn't try to talk to her much. As they reached the end of the forested path, the rose garden lay before them. They could see strong winds making the rose bushes wave. Maria ran forward, waving her hands about and yelling. It looked as though Rosa was waving to them from the front of the guest house.
私は一度自分の部屋にも。そしたらすぐいとこ部屋に行くよ。
わかったよ。じゃあ後ほどね。
Jessica ran off in the direction of the mansion. George turned around as though suggesting that they had better get going too. However, when he saw Angie standing with a crabby look on her face, he realized that something might have put her in a bad mood.
大丈夫かい？
ああ、悪いけど先に行っててくれねえかな。
じゃあ後で。
George headed for the guest house. The only ones left in the rose garden were Battler, who was waving at George, and Angie, who was still staring at the ground holding Battler's hand. For the past few minutes, he had repeatedly asked Angie what was wrong. He realized that this wasn't anything like a stomachache or something obvious that had made her grumpy. However, young girls sometimes get upset for reasons that only they can understand. Battler knew this, so he didn't rush her in any way, and continued to gaze around the beautiful rose garden holding her hand.